management. We're in it for fun, right? Let's get started. So, time management. Nobody is perfect at time management. I'm sure you and I both know this by now. Everybody has had that last minute essay, and if you have it, you're better at time management than I have been for most of my life. That's thunder. But that doesn't mean that you can improve, or you can't improve. So, from what I've learned in my first year of college, here's a few of the tips that I have found work, and I have found I'm going to implement in the future that I learned the hard way from. The first thing that I highly recommend is getting into the habit of doing your most painful assignment and your most painful subject first. Like, if you don't like math, do math first, because then it's done. And there's this concept called, it was like in some inspirational book called Eat That Frog. And the idea was, if the average person ate a live frog at the beginning of every day, they could go through the rest of the day knowing that that was probably the worst thing that was going to happen to them. You can do that with studying too. Trig may be that live frog, and if you eat it at like 8 a.m., then you're done. You can enjoy dessert after or whatever. So that's a big deal, because the more I find, the more I get into the habit of doing the things I don't want to do first, the more I feel like I have control over the things I'm doing. And I'm not waiting till the last second to do them, and I don't feel like I'm like waiting and trying to get them done all at once, but I'm doing them in succession, and it's easier to get a ton of stuff done, especially when you feel the positive impact of having it over with. That's real. So yeah, prioritize what you hate the most, what you don't want to do the most, what you have the most of, or what you're most behind in first. And then if you start that at the beginning, you don't have to deal with all of it at once. Now, if you do have to deal with it all at once, you gotta triage, right? What needs the most attention first? How does the most good come out of all of this together? That's a different subject. Equally as important, I vote it's better in the long run, at least especially for me, it would have been better in the long run if instead of just trying to figure out how to triage, like at the last minute, I start at the beginning with a set of habits where I do stuff as I need to way before the due date. So, I don't know what you guys are majoring in, but for me, like in chemistry, we'd have like a lab every week, and then the lab would be due at like 8 p.m. or 6 or 8. Guess when I did the lab? It was not like at Tuesday when my friends were doing the lab and when my friends were like free that Friday because they weren't stressed about it. I was doing it at 4 p.m. on Friday when there was no extra time to ask questions from TAs, no extra time to go into office hours, and honestly, less time to actively think about what I was learning. So I put myself in the situation pretty much every week where I would be doing things at the last minute and just fighting for survival in that cycle. And yeah, there is the adrenaline rush that comes with that, but in total, if you don't have to, why put yourself through a ton of pain? It's not fun. So do things ahead of time. Easier said than done, but habitually putting yourself in the mindset of the more I get done, the better it feels, because it does feel better, the easier it will be to make yourself do stuff that you may not want to do regarding school. So that was a big thing I learned from time management. The next thing that I learned that I didn't necessarily do, that I would encourage you guys to do, is don't take the first 3 weeks of college lightly. So the first week is syllabus week, but that doesn't mean it's not important. And the free time you think you have isn't necessarily free, because it will all come back to say hello again, at the end of the semester, when you're like, oh, I don't have time at all for any of this. So if you start making habits of including a chunk of time each day for studies and for stuff now, then you don't have to face not having any of that done at the end of the semester. So don't take that Friday of the first semester off if you know that there's something you could be doing. because give yourself a break, absolutely, but value the time that you have. So that's a big thing. We're going to get more into scheduling in a different segment, but look at your schedule now and see how much time there really is in the semester, because it's not as much as you think it is, and it's going to go way faster than you think it will. So that's some good stuff. There's more that we have. I have to screen share though, so that'll come soon.
All right, guys, pretty much the biggest thing I wanted to show regarding screen stuff for time management was this Pomodoro Focus app. And so pretty much you'll have your friends and whatnot, and you probably will have at least one friend, or you're that friend, and that whatever. But like somebody's gonna be in the library studying for 5 hours, and you're gonna be like, wow, why can't I do that? And so the real question is, what kind of studying time is that? And what kind of studying time do you want to have? So for me, if I'm in the library for 5 hours, but I'm looking at Snapchat stuff, then that has the capacity to become useless time. So instead, I like to use this Pomodoro app. And the Pomodoro system is pretty much where you have like 25 minutes of solid work and then short 5 minute break. And then you do that like 3 times and then you take a long break. And through this app, when you log in or whatever, you can like check your whole trend through the report, like the days accessed, hours, what do you do the most. If you're interested in competition, I guess you could do that, but more important is just like how does it actually time out, and it'll show you how you're actually using your time. So I found this to be immensely helpful because it would keep me doing stuff for longer periods of time. And with that 5 minute break track, it like fully helped to actually get stuff done. So, regardless if you only have enough time for an hour and a half at the library or if you want to be there all day, using the Pomodoro or specifically Pomo Focus, if you look up Pomodoro, it's the first thing that comes up. Stuff like that can help you. And there's other apps where you could get it on your phone, or there's like the Build a Forest app where the more you study, the larger your forest gets. That's fun too. Um, but if you have something there, there's a good chance it's helpful, or at least I found this specific one helpful. So I definitely wanted to give you guys that knowledge because it definitely helped me a lot when I was trying to focus and study.